What's going on, friends? Welcome. Today I'm going to be going over some essential crafting tips for new 7 Days to Die console players. So let's get into it. When you wake up in the game and you have no resources, make sure you get plenty of resources like stone, wood, plant fibers, and raw iron. Craft a stone axe. Once you have that is when you can really start going and collecting all the resources that you will need. Also, make sure you're searching birds' nests because you will need those for feathers. Now, gathering the raw iron will come from medium boulders. So you'll get the raw iron and stone from these medium boulders. I suggest getting about 100 of each of the resources that I stated earlier. The stone, raw iron, wood, plant fibers. Feathers, it's just kind of however many you can find right at the beginning. That part isn't a huge deal. Before we move on any farther in this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you're new to my channel, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and select all so you don't miss out on any more of my 7 Days to Die content. So now, let's do it. Side tip. If you are new to this game, always search the tree stems no matter where you're at. If you see one of these, always search it because there can be extremely good loot in them at some points. Not always, but it has a very high chance of dropping really good loot. Okay, now that we have our resources, you think, Mayhem, what do I do with them? Well, that's a good question. So let's answer that with tip number 1. Tip number 1. Craft 10 bows. This will level your weapons up really quickly early on in the game. Always make sure to scrap the lowest level bows. Now that you've scrapped those other bows that you don't need, now it's time to move on to crafting your arrows. And that's where the feathers will come in handy. All those feathers that you gathered earlier, you'll use those and wood and stone to make your stone arrows, which will be significant in not only helping you kill things faster and from a distance, but being able to level up your weapons faster as well, the more arrows that you make. Tip number 2. Once you've made your bow and your arrows, the next thing you're going to want to do is craft an iron reinforced club. Being able to craft this iron reinforced club, you are going to need 100 scrap iron and 20 wood. This is where our raw iron comes in handy. When you scrap that, it will make the scrap iron club, and this is going to be your weapon for early on in the game when it comes to melee combat. This is going to be your best defense against close quarter combat with zombies in 7 Days to Die for at least the first 3 days or so, maybe even longer, depending on how long it takes you to get your forge going and get some schematics for some better close combat weapons. Moving on to tip number 3. Now, this isn't a crafting tip, but I feel like it is an essential tip to know when you're starting out on 7 Days to Die on console. When you're starting out, you want to find the green forest as quickly as possible when you're a new player. It has the most resources as far as plant fibers, stone, wood, all of those things all in one spot to be able to craft and learn the game as quickly as possible as a new player. Where I am at, this is the green forest. This is where you want to be when you first start playing this game, because this is where all of your resources are going to be piled up around you. Infinite amounts of stones and trees and plant fibers all over. So again, this is tip number 3. Make sure if you don't start in a green forest, you make your way here as soon as possible. Tip number 5. So you don't want to spend your first night outside in the wilderness, because unless you've changed it in your game, the zombies do run at night and you will not be equipped to fight the zombies even if you're playing it on the easiest difficulty. So what I found is an easy thing to do is to craft yourself a small 5x5 little hut. And you can do that by making some wood frames. I usually start out with making about 40 of them just to make sure I have enough. And if you don't, you can always make a few more, because at this point you should have well over 200 wood at this point. And you should already have a stone axe and be around a lot of other wood to gather more if you need to. This is something you want to do before it gets too late in the day, so that way you're not rushing at the end to make sure you have a safe place to live. And also you can clear out a little area while you're waiting for your frames to finish crafting, so that way you have a spot to place your little 5x5 hut. At this stage of the game, a roof is not necessary. You just want to make sure that you have a door to get in and out. And place it, you can place it either way, doesn't matter. Now, you'll also want to upgrade all the wood in your little base here, so make sure that you have plenty of wood to do that with, because you don't want the zombies to see you or in the middle of the night and start breaking it down. Because if you're quiet in your first night and you're just crafting to yourself, see, I ran out of wood there, you will have plenty of things to do to keep you safe at night and entertained to get through the night by crafting and whatnot. This little 5x5 hut will keep you safe for the first couple days while you're crafting and getting yourself better tools and weapons before you go on to build your actual base or move into your actual base, depending on how you want your playstyle to be. Tip number 5, depending on how long you have your day set to, you might be coming closer to nighttime. At this point, gather as much resources as you can, so you can try to have at least 200 of each stone, wood, plant fibers, and raw iron, so you're ready for the night, because it's going to be long and rather boring if you have nothing to do. These resources will give you things that you can craft throughout the night to level up, make your weapons and tools better, and to help pass the time.